Imagine being fined for wearing the wrong color shoes, or jailed for eating breakfast too early. Welcome to medieval Europe, where the laws could be as strange as the times themselves. In an age of knights, castles, and plagues, everyday life was governed by a set of rules that would seem utterly bizarre to us today. From fashion police to laws against playing tennis, the medieval world was a minefield of legal oddities. So grab your comfiest tunic, as long as it's the right color, of course, and let's journey back in time to explore some of the most peculiar laws ever written. We're about to uncover the logic, or lack thereof, behind the rules that shaped a society so different from our own. You won't believe what was once illegal. Let's start with a classic, the sumptuary laws. These were all about keeping up appearances, or rather, keeping people in their place. Across Europe, particularly in England and France from the 13th century onwards, laws dictated what you could wear based on your social class. A merchant's wife, for instance, might be forbidden from wearing the same luxurious purple silk as a duchess. Why? It was all about maintaining the social hierarchy. The nobility wanted to ensure that no one could mistake a commoner for someone of high birth, no matter how wealthy they became. It was a visual reminder of who was in charge. Imagine getting a ticket from the fashion police because your new hat is too fancy for your class. Talk about a bad style day. Next, let's head to the dinner table. Or rather, let's talk about when you were allowed to eat. In many monastic orders, and even in some secular communities, there were strict rules about meal times. Breaking your fast before the morning church service, sometimes as late as 9 a.m., could be seen as a sign of gluttony and sin. For laborers who needed energy for a hard day's work, this was a serious problem. While not a state law everywhere, these religious and community norms carried immense weight. The idea was to promote discipline and spiritual purity over bodily indulgence. For them, your stomach could wait, but your soul couldn't. I don't know about you, but I get hangry just thinking about it. Now for something truly wild, animal trials. That's right, in medieval Europe, animals could be put on trial for crimes. From the 9th to the 18th century, there are records of pigs, rats, and even insects being formally charged, given a lawyer and tried in a court of law. One famous case in 1474 in Basel, Switzerland, saw a rooster put on trial and sentenced to be burned at the stake for the unnatural crime of laying an egg. The logic was rooted in a belief that animals could be agents of the devil. If an animal caused harm, it was seen as a manifestation of evil that needed to be legally and publicly purged from the community. It gives a whole new meaning to the term jailbird. Let's talk sports, or rather, the lack thereof. In 14th and 15th century England, kings like Edward III and Richard II banned games like football, what we might call soccer, and tennis. Was it because they were spoil sports? Not exactly. The real reason was national security. The kings believed these games were distracting young men from practicing archery, which was vital for the English army, especially during the 100 Years' War with France. The government wanted every able-bodied man to be a skilled archer, not a star athlete. The decree basically said, drop the ball and pick up a bow. It was a matter of prioritizing military readiness over weekend fun. Ever felt like you were being taxed for everything? Well, medieval folks might have you beat. One of the strangest was the beard tax. While most famously implemented in Russia by Peter the Great much later, similar ideas floated around medieval Europe. In 12th century France, there was a tax on nobles who grew beards, as it was seen as a sign of vanity. The reason was often twofold. To raise money for the crown and to enforce a certain standard of appearance, it was a way for the state to literally cash in on personal grooming choices. Can you imagine having to pay extra just to keep your facial hair? That's one way to encourage a clean-shaven look. Let's move on to household rules. In some parts of medieval Germany, there was a curious law known as the eavesdropper's fine. This law made it illegal to stand under the eaves of someone's house to listen in on their private conversations. It wasn't just bad manners, it was a punishable offense. In an era before mass media, gossip and information were powerful, and reputations could be ruined by a single overheard secret. This law was an attempt to protect personal privacy and social harmony in tightly knit communities where everyone knew everyone else's business. It was an early attempt at a right to privacy, enforced by fining the nosy neighbors. Here's one for the foodies. Did you know that in some medieval towns the quality of bread was regulated by law? In England, the assize of bread and ale set the price, weight, and quality of bread. Bakers who sold underweight loaves or used cheap ingredients could face severe punishment. They might be fined, publicly shamed in the stocks, or even dragged through the streets on a sled with the bad loaf tied around their neck. Why so serious about bread? Because it was the staple food for most of the population. Ensuring a fair and honest supply was crucial for preventing social unrest. It was a matter of public health and order, all centered on a simple loaf. Finally, let's talk about the right of wreck. This ancient maritime law, practiced along many European coastlines, stated that if a ship wrecked on the shore, the local lord had the right to claim the ship and all of its cargo. To the sailors who survived, this was devastating. They would wash ashore having lost their ship and goods, only to find the local landowner legally seizing whatever remained. Some communities even became notorious wreckers who would lure ships onto rocks with false lights to profit from the disaster. It was a brutal law that highlighted the harsh realities of life and the opportunistic nature of power in the medieval world. A true finders-keepers policy with deadly consequences. So from fashion crimes to animal trials and taxes on beards, the medieval legal system was a fascinating and often baffling reflection of its time. These strange laws weren't just random rules. They were born from the anxieties, beliefs, and social structures of a world trying to impose order on chaos. They show us how much societies change, and maybe they make us a little more grateful for our own legal systems, as imperfect as they may be. Which of these laws did you find the strangest? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more dives into the weird and wonderful corners of history.